All right, bring it on in for the Beef Up Front NFL Week 6 preview here on PickSwap Media. Ryan Coyle joined alongside Kevin Cannon for the weekly NFL preview show, giving you preview of the 5 biggest and best games of the week. Throw in a touchdown parlay, 2 legs from each of us, and then give our favorite underdog of the week and our favorite overall bet of the week. So a lot to get into. We usually break it down 20 to 25 minutes each every week. Give you a little bit of football content here on this Wednesday night as you head towards your weekend. Philadelphia Phillies playing for their season tonight. So we're recording a little bit before that. Positive vibes. Still, Philadelphia Eagles coming off their first loss of the season. They'll be playing on Thursday night. Doesn't crack our big 5 games of the week, but a good balance this week. We got a 1 o'clock, we got a 4 o'clock, we got an 8:20, and we got 2 games on Monday night this week that are actually both pretty interesting. So a big week coming up in the NFL. Kev, welcome back, and how are we?
Great. Yeah. Week 6, crazy, and a lot of awesome games on the slate this week.
Yeah, some big time matchups, and we talked about it last week, but every week you're starting to pick up a little bit more and more about each of these teams. Teams starting to look like pretenders, contenders. Bengals go out and make a move to maybe try and save their season and see if Joe Flacco can help with that passing game with those 2 studs with Joe Burrow out. Cowboys offense has been looking great. Defense hasn't been looking good at all. The Jacksonville Jaguars moved to 4-1 after a big-time win on Monday night against the Chiefs. Crazy league, crazy things happen every single week. Eagles dropped their first game in forever. But yeah, as you touched on, a big week this week coming up. Interested to see what our picks look like. There was an awesome game last week between the Bucs and Seahawks. I think that could be a playoff matchup down the line. Cool story there with Baker and Darnold as well, kind of reinventing their careers in some new spots. But yeah, let's start it off talking about Sam Darnold on Sunday at 1 with the Seahawks at 3-2. They'll be traveling to Jacksonville to play the 4-1 Jags for a 1 o'clock kick on Fox. Jaguars 1.5 point favorite over under 47.5. Kev, and Jags making some waves. That was actually my AFC South title team at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I am going Jags winning this one and moving to 5-1. Jags 27, Seahawks 24. Jags cover the 1.5 under 47.5. You were talking about earlier that as obviously we get further into the season, we find more and more about each team. I still don't know if I believe in either of these teams, but the Seahawks are 3-2 against the spread, and the Jags are 4-1 against the spread. The Jags are being carried by a defense that has forced 14 turnovers this year, which is leading the league. And then Travis Etienne is but he's 4th in the league in rushing yards. And then Trevor Lawrence is just playing kind of complimentary football, making all the throws he needs to and just keeping the ball moving and not really turning it over a ton. Both these offenses are more than capable of scoring points, and the Seahawks are averaging nearly 30 a game. Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, they look awesome together. So I wasn't really 100% sure on how to pick this game, so I'm just going to take the Jags here as the Seahawks are making the long flight from Seattle for a 1 p.m. kickoff. So I'm going Jags winning, pretty close one here.
Yeah, this is one of those kind of West Coast to East Coast games. What do you make of it, especially with the Seahawks coming off a pretty deflating loss last week? I think you could call it at home in a shootout there. That game was a war, one of, if not the best games of the week last week. And then also Jags on a short week this week after one of the biggest wins for that franchise. It's sad to say that, but over the past 5 to 10 years, one of the biggest regular season wins for them. So both teams in kind of an interesting spot this week, coming off Jags, a huge win. How do you respond from that? And the Seahawks, a tough loss. How are they responding from that? Traveling from West Coast to East Coast in that situation with 2 teams that I think are pretty even, pretty kind of comparable. I'll always ride with that home team, having that East Coast to West Coast advantage with Seahawks coming all the way across for a 1 o'clock kick. It's kind of as simple as me for that in that scenario. And the Jags have also been finding ways to win. Very impressive, taking the football away. Devin Lloyd is arguably the best linebacker in the NFL, or at least playing like it right now. Trevor Lawrence is still kind of finding his way in this offense, but showing the ability to use his legs a little bit more. Travis Etienne has been really good this year. Travis Hunter got more involved last week. Brian Thomas had his best game of the season. That Jags team on paper is really talented on the offensive side of the ball. If they can just take care of the football, I think they're going to win a lot of games, put themselves in position to make the playoffs. So a situation like that, I'm going to take them to win this one at home, but I will take the Seahawks to cover because I do think the Seahawks can win that game. I'm going going to take Jags 28, Seahawks 27. So kind of thread the needle there. I wouldn't be surprised if that score's flopped and it's 28-27 Seahawks. But I do like some points in this one as well. I'm going to go Jags 28-27, Seahawks plus 1.5 over 47.5. All right, Sunday afternoon, 4:25, 49ers at 4-1, coming off a pretty awesome win at home or on the road against the Rams. Mac Jones looking awesome. His best game of his career, arguably, in the NFL. They'll be traveling to Tampa to play the 4-1 Bucs. Only lost to the Eagles, but they've been as impressive as any team there in the NFC. 4:25 kick on CBS. Bucs 3-point favorite over under 47.5.
Yeah, I'm going Bucks winning by a touchdown, 27 to the Niners 20. So Bucks cover 3 under 47.5. Both teams have had just a ton of injuries this year, and the Niners having the worst of it. But both of them are still 4-1, which is super impressive for both teams. The Niners, though, have not been covering a lot as of recently. They are 4-10 against the spread in their last 14 games, and I do think it moves to 4-11 here because Baker's been playing just at an elite level. He's currently third in the league in MVP odds. The Tampa Bay secondary does scare me a little bit as they rank near the bottom of the league in most metrics. And then obviously playing a Kyle Shanahan-led offense doesn't help a ton either. And I think it looks like it's probably going to be Mac Jones again this week as Brock is still injured. But he played really well last week against the Rams. Like you said, that he threw the ball a ton. I think he threw it 42 times. But I'm just going to go with the Bucs here because I think Baker's just that good. He's playing that well. He's that hot right now, and I think he can just keep them in any game. Even if they go down 10-14, it seems like he always is able to bring his team back and lead them to victory.
Yeah, he's been super impressive. I think if you made me make a pick out of the NFC, at least today, for like my MVP, I'm definitely going Baker. Josh Allen probably right now with just his numbers is the league MVP, but Baker's numbers are impressive. And as you said, leading his team to comeback win after comeback win has been a pretty awesome sight for a team that's been banged up. Once they're fully healthy with Ibuka, with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin, with Wirfs back, Bucky Irving out now. But when that team's fully clicking on offense, that's as dangerous as a team as any in the league. And that's why I picked the Bucs to be my Super Bowl team at the beginning of the year. They were my Super Bowl winner. I had them beating the Ravens. The Ravens part's not looking that great right now, but this Bucs team, when they're fully healthy, is as good as anyone. And, the Mac Jones magic, I think, has to wear out at a little bit at some stage. And while he's been awesome and while Kyle Shanahan gets the most out of his quarterbacks, I think just some of these scenarios where it's like, all right, the Rams didn't really play that well last week. They didn't do themselves any favors. This is a Bucs team that's really dangerous on the offensive side of the ball, and I don't know if Mac Jones, with the kind of banged-up offense that the 49ers have at this stage of the game, can go and kind of out-duel the Bucs here in a shootout. So I'm going to take the Bucs to win at home, 30-24, Bucs -3 over 47.5 there. All right, Sunday Night Football now. Lions are 4-1 at the Chiefs, who are 2-3. 8:20 kick Sunday Night Football on NBC. Chiefs -2.5 despite coming off that loss to the Jags. Over/under is 52.5.
Yeah, I'm going Lions winning a pretty close one, 30-27. Lions get the points plus 2.5, over 52.5 hidden. The Lions have looked awesome this year besides that just horrible week 1 game. And then the Chiefs offense has looked a lot better in the past 2 weeks, but in those 2 games, they still went 1-1. Obviously, it wasn't enough last week, and it feels incredibly weird to be picking against Mahomes and seeing the Chiefs fall to 2-4, but I also think you wouldn't have expected them to lose to the Jags last week as well. So maybe things just aren't going their way this year, but if the Chiefs do win this game, I don't think anyone should or would be surprised about it. However, I'm just going with the Lions because they're currently scoring 40 points a game since week 2 while only allowing 21 a game. And then the Lions also rank in the top 5 in EPA per play on both sides of the ball, which is obviously just a winning formula. So I'm going Lions winning this one.
We talk about it. We talked about it so much last season, Kev, where the Lions just, and I think like part of my take I even saw has been talking about it recently. They're so good against the spread. It's like, why don't you just bet them every single week? So like even this week, I like the Chiefs to win this game, but I'm going to take the Lions to cover plus 2.5. Will I be surprised if they go to Arrowhead and win this game at all? No, they did it last year to open up the season. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But it's just one of those situations like even last week, the Chiefs lost a game that last year they win that game. All those close games that went their way last year, they've gone the opposite way this year. They're 0-3 in one-score games this year. does that thing kind of even out over time? Like, is it a game where, all right, they make a field goal to win it at the end this week instead of lose it in crazy fashion like they did last week to the Jags? I'm going to still side with the Chiefs. I still think that they make the playoffs. I still think nobody wants to see them once they get to the playoffs. And I think Mahomes in that offense is definitely looking better. I just think that game might have said a little bit more about the Jags last week. Lions, too. They've since that Packers game, they've looked certainly a lot better. They've moved the ball a lot better. But I know just like kind of looking at their schedule, they haven't really. I think it was the Bengals. I think it was the Browns. They've had a very favorable schedule so far. Pulling it up right now, but yeah, sitting here at 4-1, we know that they lost and looked terrible to the Packers week 1, but the Bears, who knows what they are. The Ravens, impressive win, but the Ravens still sitting here at 1-4, and then wins over the Browns and Bengals. They haven't really beat anyone super impressive thus far. Everyone there. Bears are sitting at 500, but all the other teams under 500 to start the year. At the Chiefs versus the Bucks versus the Vikings, it's starting to get a little bit more challenging. At the Commanders, at the Eagles, so a big stretch coming up here for the Lions, but I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this one at home, but we'll go with the Lions to cover +2.5. I think both these teams put up a lot of points. I'll go with the over 52.5 as well. Give me Chiefs 28-27. All right, Monday night, we got a doubleheader and a good doubleheader, unlike the last doubleheader we had. The Bills at 4-1 will be traveling to the Falcons at 2-2. Bills coming off their first loss. And we'll say as well, like, Eagles lose their first game, the Bills lose their first game, and there's 100 million more people talking about the Eagles and the panic over them. I haven't heard anything about the Bills losing their first game all week, and they did that at home to an inferior team in the New England Patriots. You shouldn't get a free pass for losing that game, but it feels like they have been. They'll be traveling to Atlanta to play the 2-2 Falcons, coming off a bye. 7:15 kick on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Bills -4.5, over under 49.5.
Yeah, I'm going Bills winning close one, 24-23. So the Falcons end up covering the 4.5, under 49.5. I don't see the Bills losing 2 in a row, especially to a Falcons team that is just so inconsistent. I do think the Falcons are able to keep it close as they're coming off a bye, and then Bijan Robinson, I think, is going to have a huge game here. The Bills are allowing 145 rushing yards a game and 5.6 yards per carry, which are both just near the bottom of the league in both categories. And then the Falcons defense has actually played pretty solid this year, but I think the Bills offense is just still elite, even after kind of a clunker last week. And then for the Falcons, you really never know what Michael Penix is going to show up. So I'm just going to end up taking the Bills here, but I do think the Falcons can keep it close.
It's going to be an interesting one. I think we could see, when both these teams are at their best, the Bills and the Falcons, we could see some of the most exciting offense in football. Like that Falcons offense, when they're clicking, when Penix is playing well, when Bijan is getting the ball in open space, when Drake London's catching the football, when Kyle Pitts is doing what Kyle Pitts can do at certain points, that Falcons offense can be super explosive. But you touched on it too. The inconsistencies is one of the major question marks about that team going forward. And like, is Penix the guy? Is Drake London a legit number one receiver? How good does Bijan need to be to really carry that offense week in, week out? Like, is he going to be a Saquon Giants type player where he has to go somewhere else to a better team, to a better system to get the most out of him? The Falcons are a real mysterious team because at their best, I think they could be a 10-7 type of squad and a really bright future going forward. But they've been super inconsistent. I'm not a huge believer in Raheem Morris at the head coaching spot. And they're just a little bit of a week-to-week team for me. So in that scenario, I'm going to ride with the Bills, who I think are more consistent. And coming off a loss, I think that they're going to rebound in this one. I do think we get some points in this one. I'm going to go 31-23 Falcons, so over 49.5 there. And the Bills -4.5. But that's a game where I'm going to have a lot of close eyes on it because I think the Bills need to bounce back and respond because I think looking at their schedule, 15-2 is probably the ceiling for that team. 14-3 though, I think is probably kind of the ballpark. They're a team playing for the 1 seed, and a team that should be playing for the 1 seed wins these type of games. So give me Bills to win this one, 30-23. All right. One of the crazier games from the NFL last year. We get a rematch of it on Monday Night Football here. Bears at 2-2 at the Commanders 3-2. 8:15 kick on Monday Night Football on ABC. Commanders 4.5-point favorite, over under 49.5.
I'm going Commanders by a touchdown, 30-23. Commanders cover 4.5. Over 49.5 hidden. Jaden Daniels is back, and the Commanders just look so much better, as they should, having their franchise quarterback back. And then the Bears are coming off an early bye, so they'll be rested here. but the Bears do have the second worst rushing defense in the league. So I think giving the ball to Bill Krosky-Merritt will be the game plan for the Commanders. And then obviously it helps having Jaden Daniels, who's extremely mobile as well. And then they also just have a ton of other weapons. Luke McCaffrey's starting to emerge a little bit. Debo's been playing really well this year. And the Bears defense is giving up nearly 30 points a game. And they just haven't been very good at all. And then as for the Bears offense, I do think they've looked competent at times this year. Caleb's been he's been looking better, still not 100%. It doesn't look like everything doesn't look 100% fluid, but the Commanders are third in the league in sacks. So I think they'll be able to get after him a little bit and potentially disrupt the passing game of the Bears. So I'm going Commanders winning relatively easy 30-23.
I like the Bears to win this one. I think we get a bit of revenge in this one. I think that they've came alive after that 0-2 start. I know that it's still early in the season, but having won these last two games, I think the offenses came alive a little bit. I think they get revenge in this one. That's a game that they should have won last year at the Commanders. Obviously, the fluke kind of Hail Mary there at the end, and the Bears season really was derailed after that, Kevin. But I'm going to take the Bears in this one. I like the growth that they've shown over the past few weeks. I think the offense is starting to get cooking. And I think we're going to look back and see during Ben Johnson's career that he's going to be kind of one of the best coaches in the league coming off a bye weekend. And this is a complete hypothetical. Don't really have any proof behind this, but just the way that he's able to script plays and the scripted plays that we've seen that the Bears come out with, giving him an extra week to prepare. I think he's going to come out with some pretty good, well-cooked up stuff, and his team's going to be really prepared here coming off the bye. So I like the Bears to go down to DC and win this game outright. I'm going to go 31-27. We're going to go with the over as well. I think we see some points in this one. Bears plus 4.5, over 49.5 there. All right, to wrap it up, our touchdown parlay, our lock of the week, and our dog of the day to finish us out. For our touchdown parlay, Kevin and I each do 2 legs. One guy playing on Sunday afternoon and one guy playing on any of the primetime games. Could be Thursday, could be Sunday night, or either of the Monday night doubleheader games this week. So started off, I will give my Sunday afternoon play. I'm going to go with Javonte Williams, minus 170, running back there for the Dallas Cowboys. This week they have the Carolina Panthers, not exactly an astounding defense on that side of the ball down there in Carolina. And Javonte Williams, hats off to him. He's been awesome this year. He signed a 1-year prove-it deal with Dallas, and he's been one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL this year. Seems to find the end zone a good bit thus far, 2 in the opener. He scored again last week. He's getting a bunch of yards. He's got that big playability. I like him to find the end zone this week against a bad Panthers defense.
Yeah, my Sunday afternoon pick, I'm going Devon Achane against the Chargers, minus 110. He's averaging 17 touches a game, plenty of chances for a dude who can score on literally any play. So I think Achane gets in the end zone this week.
My nighttime game, I'm going to go with James Cook, minus 155 on Monday Night Football. Don't think that Atlanta Falcons defense is necessarily that strong. James Cook did not get in the end zone last week. We've seen him, good enough sample size now over the years. He's going to get the ball around the end zone. He's going to be that guy. Whether it's him or Josh Allen, I think that kind of varies week to week. But I like this Bills offense to put up some points on the Falcons this week. So give me James Cook minus 155.
My primetime pick, I'm going Thursday night, Saquon, minus 160 against the Giants. I think Saquon's more involved this week because they were so pass-heavy last week. And then the Eagles have shown the ability to run variations off the tush-push. It's not just a foregone conclusion now that it's Jalen Hurts, so that allows opportunities for Saquon and then others to score instead of Hurts.
All right, so we got James Cook, Javonte Williams. Sorry about that, doing this on the fly. We have Saquon on Thursday night. That gets us a third leg. And our fourth leg of the parlay, Devon Achane at minus 110. Where are the Dolphins? This is great work, Ryan. Minus 110. All right, we are looking at a plus 710. Not the highest odds, but we need to see one go through, and you got 4 RB1s. I like this one, Kev. Plus 710. Let's ride with that. All right, our dog of the day, which are our favorite underdog of the week. Kev, who is your pick for this one?
I'm going Saints plus 3.5 against the Pats. I think the Saints are playing hard, and the Pats just had a massive win last week. So I think the Saints at least hang around to cover in this one.
Yeah, looking at the board here, not many jumping off the screen to me. Saints, weirdly, plus 3.5 is talking to me a little bit with the Patriots coming off that huge win. Saints maybe feeling a little bit of momentum with the win there. But I don't want to hitch my wagon to Spencer Rattler. Dog of the week. I'll go with the Bears. Bears plus 4.5. I got them winning that one outright. I think that worst comes to worst, they can keep that one within a field goal. So Bears plus 4.5. Dog of the day. All right, lock of the week. Our favorite bet on the board this week in the NFL. Kev, what's your pick there?
I'm going Titans at the Raiders under 41.5. The Raiders are currently scoring 17 points a game. The Titans are scoring 15 points a game. And I know both defenses are bad, but I think it's still going to be a low-scoring game.
My lock of the week in the NFL, I'm going to go with over 50.5 in the Panthers-Cowboys game. Cowboys defense can't stop a soul. But say what you want about Dak Prescott. That offense is clicking right now. George Pickens playing awesome. We touched on Javonte Williams playing awesome. Doesn't sound like CeeDee Lamb's going to be back this week. But that offense, Jake Ferguson, has been great this year. The defense can't stop anything. And the Panthers have been an inconsistent offense, but they've been really good in stretches. And you got to think that this week against this really bad Cowboys defense that they're going to be able to put up some points. So I could see this one being like a 31 to 24 type of ball game going over that 50.5 to total. So give me Panthers Cowboys over 50.5 as my lock of the week. But that'll do it for the NFL Week 6 picks and preview here from Beef Up Front on PickSwap Media. As always, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Crazy Week 6 already here, but we're starting to get into that mode. It's like 50 degrees now when you walk outside the door. Fall is officially here. Football weather. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will talk next week.